In order for us to factor this, we need to have everything on one side, which means we need to move this negative 12 to the other side. Currently we are subtracting, so we're going to add 12 to both sides. As we go to do that, recall that the 7 and the 12 cannot be combined because one has an x and one does not. So when we go to write this, we will have x squared plus 7x plus 12 equaling negative 12 plus 12 is 0. So there we have it, so that we have our trinomial with all our items on one side and have it equaling 0 on the other. We are now looking at whether there's a number we can divide out of all three terms. And there isn't, as this one has a 1 in front of it. So we're looking for two numbers that will multiply to give me positive 12 and add to give me positive 7. Those two numbers are positive 3 and positive 4. So we're going to write our two sets of brackets. We will have x plus 3 in one bracket, x plus 4 in the other, writing this equal to 0. And at this stage now, we're going to take each set of bracket, make it equal to 0, and solve for x. So we have x plus 3 equals 0, and we have x plus 4 equals 0. Recall, we move to the other side of the equal sign by doing the opposite of what we were doing. So here we are adding. Opposite of adding is to subtract. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides of the equal sign. That gets me x. 3 minus 3 is 0. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. There is one of my x values. On the other one, it was a plus 4. So our opposite of adding is to subtract. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. As we go to do that, we have x. 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. And notice that as I do these, I do say 4 minus 4 and do the math to double check. That's a good way to know whether or not you accidentally put in the wrong side. And there is our other x value. For this example, there is only one variable. We only have the y. So instead of trying to factor it with everything on one side, let's just move everything away from the y and get y by itself. So recall, when we go to do that, we're moving items that are furthest away first and then closest. So we have this one that's separated by the minus, this one with our 75, which is a times, and this 2, which is our exponent. This one is definitely further away at this point. You can visually see the difference. So adding 192 to both sides to move it to the other side, we get 75 y squared. Negative 192 plus 192 is equal to 0. 0 plus 192 is 192. As we go to look at our next choices, we have the 75 and we have the 2. Now this is beside the y, whereas this is on top of the y. So beside is further away than on top. If we were writing this out, we recall that this is a multiply, 75 times y squared. So although we don't see the symbol, there is a multiplication symbol happening, which does move it further away than that exponent as well. So dividing both sides by 75, we get y squared is equal to 2.56. There we go. So y squared is equal to 2.56. Now, we have to get rid of that exponent of 2. We call the opposite of squaring is to square root. So we are going to square root both sides. Now, as we go to square root that, thinking about what we know about numbers already, we know that 3 squared is equal to 9. We also know that negative 3 squared is equal to 9. So if we had to work backwards and I said x squared is equal to 9, would we know whether this x squared was, this 3 here, was positive or negative? We wouldn't. And as a result, when we square root over here, we're going to have y is equal to plus or minus the square root of 2.56, which is 1.6. So we could write it like that, or you can write it as y equals negative 1.6 and y equals 1.6, so our positive 1.6. And so either of these work, so there is our final answer and values for y.